Right at the start of part 3 of Spinoza's Ethics is a preface, and it's an extraordinary piece of writing. It's not very long, but it outlines his approach to the topic of the emotions, because part 3 of the Ethics deals with the emotions. His approach to the whole thing is that our emotions are a natural phenomena. They're exactly the same as a storm or the way a billiard ball bounces around a billiard table. Our emotions are the product of what he would term natural laws. And so to understand the emotions, we can study them in a fairly scientific and objective manner. In fact, he uses the term a geometrical approach, which is a little bit obtuse, I have to admit, but all the same. He was trying to put emotions on the basis of a science, or the study of the emotions. So this is a preface to part 3. I'm going to read through it with comments as and where they seem to be appropriate. So he says, most of those who have written about the emotions and human conduct seem to be dealing not with natural phenomena that follow the common laws of nature, but with phenomena outside nature. Now, it is the case that most people see their emotions as something special, something that is unique to human beings, and in fact the emotions are basically just our raw reaction to our environment and to how well we are surviving. So, on that basis, it might be possible to study the emotions in an objective kind of way, to look at how we are affected by one set of circumstances or another set of circumstances. Anyway, the study of the emotions is just as objective or as ideal for an objective treatment as study of anything else in Spinoza's world. And he says most people study the emotions as though they're outside of nature, as though we are some special kind of case. Anyway, he goes on, they appear to go so far as to conceive man in nature as a kingdom within a kingdom. And this is the human vanity, isn't it? That we believe that we are somehow outside of general nature, and hence our response to the environment is not something that just flows the way it flows as everything else does, but our emotions are very special, meaningful, and deserve some special kind of treatment. They believe that humanity, mankind, man, disturbs rather than follows nature's order and has absolute power over his actions. And aren't people like that? And if you read a lot of Spinoza, then you will see that he has no truck with the idea of free will, and that we are subject to influences, causes, and that we actually only see the effects. So if you're thirsty, you will just say, well, I desire a glass of water, but the fact is your body needs fluids. Maybe you haven't drunk water for several hours or whatever. And so there's a chain of causes that lead up to you saying, I desire water, or I want a cookie, or whatever. We are just as much subject to cause and effect as anything else. So he goes on to say, again, they assign the cause of human weakness and frailty not to the power of nature in general, but to some defect in human nature, which they therefore bemoan, ridicule, despise, or, as is most frequently the case, abuse. Now here he's saying that the way we react to events is a very natural thing. There's nothing wrong with, as you will see a little bit later, there's nothing wrong with envy or hatred or anger or whatever. These are our genuine responses to the environment. And when he says that people bemoan, ridicule, despise, or abuse, he's really talking about the religions. The religions look at the way men behave, and they set themselves on high and then judge what is happening or judge the way that people manifest and say you shouldn't do this and you should do that. And if someone is, for the sake of argument, greedy, then we look at it and we ridicule it. We don't see that actually the greed has a cause, and if that person could understand the cause, they might have more of an interest in doing something about it. That sounds like I'm being judgmental. It isn't. If someone is greedy, then there is just a set of circumstances that is driving them to behave in that kind of way. And no ridicule or bemoaning or whatever is applicable. That's just the way it is. He who can criticize the weakness of the human mind more eloquently or more shrilly is regarded as almost divinely inspired. Spinoza is very critical of religion, and he's having a direct dig here at the way people are priests, so-called gurus and so on and so forth. For Spinoza, well, the way we manifest is just the way we manifest. Nothing wrong with it. It might not be useful for us, so it might not be useful to be greedy. But that's a wholly different thing to it being wrong. Yet there have not been lacking outstanding figures who have written much that is excellent regarding the right conduct of life and have given to mankind very sage counsel, and we confess we owe much to their toil and industry. However, as far as I know, no one has defined the nature and strength of the emotions and the power of the mind in controlling them.